Welcome back once again to the Pitlane Palace Formula One podcast. In this episode, we are going to be recapping the Pitlane Palace Formula One. Trademark that, actually. No, but we're going to be recapping the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in Jeddah that just took place this past Sunday. It is now Tuesday, April 22nd, so we're a little late compared to everybody else, but we're on it. We got a little bit of a gap between the races here, so we got to let this one marinate.
Yep.
Although I think Miami is not too far away, but Oscar Piastri won the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and just again, I mean, there's the controversy which we'll talk about with the time penalty that Verstappen got, but just again on the basis of from last weekend to this one, Oscar Piastri just looks very composed. He looks like he's just never making a mistake. He's on it the entire race, and he just, the moment he got that lead, didn't lose it. Same thing that happened last weekend in Bahrain. And overall, just it's going to be hard to take Verstappen down, or sorry, Piastri down this year. I saw some people talking about this, how for a long time we talked about who the next world champion was going to be. Was it Leclerc? Was it Russell? Was it Norris? If Piastri wins a world championship this year before any of those three, I don't have any words, because this rate, things are looking very good for Piastri.
Yeah, it's way more likely right now, and it's kind of feels weird saying it, but it's been all over my Insta. Everything I see in the socials is like Norris being taken down, and a lot of people being very excited about Norris not doing too well. But it feels weird to think about it. It feels weird to think about that Piastri's got a better chance at being world champion than Leclerc has, and presumably Norris as well. I mean, we'll get into that if Norris will actually get this world championship, and if he's going to be able to deliver with his chance he got right now. But I feel like it's not really something that I was even considering, and I might out myself here, but it's just not really something that came across my mind.
Well, admittedly, Norris has several more years in Formula One under his belt, and so I thought in equal machinery, Norris would just kind of run away with it compared to Piastri, like he's done the last couple of years when it comes to their battle. And in that regard, again, I just kind of thought it was either going to be Norris or somebody else was going to catch up to McLaren, right? But I never thought that. I knew at some point in his career, Piastri would be good enough to beat Norris. I just didn't think it would happen now. And that's what's shocking.
And 100%. And I did not see this big confidence struggle coming from Norris at all.
It's bad.
Like, I mean, mentality was an issue at the beginning of his career, right? He said this. It was something he struggled with a lot at the start. And I feel like it didn't really come up until the Constructors' Championship fight with Max, which also then, like, it was bad, but it wasn't too bad. And now we're at a point where it's like, okay, this is really, really bad. This is really, really bad. And looking 2 years down the line, that's not something I was thinking about with Norris. He was the kind of guy where, like, you had a high standard for him because you knew he was always going to somewhat perform, because Norris was just the guy. He was like, I don't know, that's at least it's why I looked up to him, and I still do. It's just he was always kind of able to produce some sort of magic. And now it's like he seems more fragile in a way.
Yeah, and so I think it comes down to this topic of Norris, I believe, from the past, we'll say, year and a half or so that he has had a winning car. Norris has world championship driver caliber pace, right?
Sure.
He's got the pace to do it. He is quick, very quick. And I think that's when there's no pressure on, he can pull out results we don't expect to see. But does he have the World Drivers' Championship mentality? That I don't know, and I'm yet to see. And I'm leaning towards no. He might not. He might be able to pull it out of the bag. We're only on race 5, right? But
Right.
I have nothing to believe that he does if he has the right mentality to do it. And that's half the battle. Formula One is more mental than it is anything else. I mean, these are the 20 best drivers in the world. The margins between these guys are 1,000ths of a second for a lot of them. And I just don't know if he went now, because I think if we look back to previous, Norris seasons early in his career, that McLaren wasn't that great, but he would pull out a couple podiums here and then, and we were just like, yes, Norris is a good driver, he just needs the car. But then he gets the car, and now there's this expectation. There's an expectation that he needs to win. And that, I think, is too much maybe for him to handle. And it sucks, because I think one of the reasons I would love to see Norris get a championship this year, and contrary to what much popular belief from the fans seems to be, is that they don't want a Norris championship. Which is crazy. But part of the reason I really want a Norris championship is just because I think that loyalty he played to McLaren for so many years needs to pay off for him. And if Piastri, who comes in after only 3 years, gets that championship before him, that's going to hurt. Norris rode through the McLaren struggles and waited and didn't leave McLaren and stuck to it. And now finally it paid off. He's got the car. But again, it's up to him now. And that's what's unfortunate, is I just don't know if he's mentally there. The other thing, and I talked to you about this a bit off the show, watching the race. Yeah. His racecraft sometimes is questionable. I think Norris, again, he has the pace. When he's in front, I think Norris in front into turn 1 is a more secure win than Oscar Piastri into turn 1 if he's leading. I think Norris, when he's got clear air and no pressure, like we saw in Singapore last year, can be the best driver on the grid.
For sure.
Absolutely. He's quick. Very quick.
He's really quick. Really
when
quick.
He's kind of fighting through the field, there's just some moments where I'd like to see a little more. Obviously, his pace was strong in Jeddah, which is why I'm noting the pace, and he was able to make up some places, but he should have got past Hamilton faster. He fell for the same bait from Hamilton 2 times, and that was mildly concerning. He did the same thing in Bahrain with Leclerc. Should have got by him significantly quicker than he did, and he just kind of felt like he wasn't figuring it out. I'm not saying that it's necessarily awful racecraft, but there's just some moments from Norris where I'd like to see it be a bit better, a bit stronger. Even some moves I see Piastri make, I'm just like, whoa, that was a fantastic move. He got it done right when he needed to. He looks confident behind the wheel. Norris or Piastri, I forget who he overtook, but had a brilliant overtake on his after he pit.
Hamilton.
On Hamilton, yeah, it was on Hamilton. Just swooped right by him into turn 1.
Insane.
Beautiful. That's what I want to see from Norris in those instances. Late on the brakes, making these moves, wheel to wheel. I don't see a ton of that from him. He can catch up to you, but once he's there, we should argue that maybe he should have been on the podium yesterday. He should have got by Leclerc and Russell a little quicker.
He should have been, yeah.
So it's just things like that. When it comes down to the pressure of it, I'm like, does he have what it takes to have? If he's got the world championship caliber pace, does he have the racecraft and the mentality? I don't know.
Controversial take. I think he does.
Okay.
And I think looking back on the years, Norris is at a point with the car where he's got as low of confidence into that car as he's ever had with McLaren. Because when you think back and when you look back into some of the races and some of the masterclass Norris has pulled, for example, with Imola when he had some sort of fail, I remember it was something with a clutch problem and he held Hamilton behind for a ton of laps to stay on the podium. Or, his first podium, stuff like that, is Norris had that confidence and Norris can be that driver. But I think it's now at a level, and it's now with a car where, yes, it's the quickest car on this grid, for sure. And he can make that car work, but it's not 100% fitting the driving style like it used to. Because, Norris criticized the car a few years ago as well, for sure. But he's now talking about it at a confidence stage where it kind of shows that he's just struggling with it a lot, 100%. And he takes on his nose and he says, I'm the problem here. I'm the issue here, and I fully get that perspective. But it's easy to say he's a muppet. He's fucking this up. He just sucks. He's just not that kind of guy. But it's harder to see that, okay, he probably is that kind of guy. It's just he's struggling too much with it. And then it's back into this whole mentality thing, and we know that Norris is a bit softer in that sort of region. It's just when I look back, this is very sentimental. No, it's not actually. But when I look back at races that I used to watch with Norris in them, he was just always that guy that like made me go, oof.
Yeah.
I respect that. I respect that.
And they brought this up during the race too, where we used to call him Last Lap Lando because he would just have this magic at the very end of a race.
Out of
in his
nowhere.
first season, he was just making overtakes to score more points, and that Lando Norris just isn't there anymore, and it's so weird and frustrating.
Same guy.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
It's not like the guy has changed, and he's got so much raw pace. He's quick. I feel like it's just it must be at a point now, and that's exactly the feedback we get from him. Is it's at a point where he's not comfortable with the car. And Max Fucho, his mate, that you talked about this, Lando is struggling a lot with that car, regardless of the fact that that's a championship-winning car, 100%. And Norris is not Max Verstappen. Norris can't complain about the car in FP1, FP2, FP3, and then qualify on pole. When the car isn't suiting his driving style, you're gonna tell, you're gonna see. You'll see in the timings, and you'll see in his confidence. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening. And McLaren's not choosing a side, right? They shouldn't. This is not, okay, we're going with Oscar because Oscar's saying this is quicker, or we're going with Lando because Lando's saying this is quicker. They're trying to make this car as quick as possible, as objectively as possible. Not choosing a side. Probably choosing a side when one side makes more sense for this car, when the data works out with that car. But is Lando in favor here? I don't think so. And is it going to improve? Hopefully. But if not, then we'll probably be here again.
We're going into Miami, and this is where he got his first race win last year.
Because of a safety car, but it was his first
race win. So maybe he'll go in with some confidence. Who knows? But yeah, no, I really do so badly want a Norris championship, but it's just getting harder and harder to believe in it when I keep seeing things like this happen. Now, there is the conversation of, okay, Norris crashes. Should Piastri have been on pole position on Saturday? If that car's so good, right? I do think because Norris made a bigger mistake that was, skipped on the conversation a little bit, which again, he's just praising Max, but Max is obviously known to exceed his car's pace in qualifying because he's Max Verstappen. But, of course, I just want to note that maybe it's not perfect for Piastri either. Because I guess I should say it this way. That McLaren's quick, but again, it's not miles quicker. We've said that all year. We've talked about that on the podcast all year. That McLaren's very fast, but the gap is not that huge. And when they are not getting every single ounce out of that car, and they're not driving perfectly, that very much opens the window for Verstappen and sometimes Russell to come in and snag a place from them. Absolutely. Because they both are on, the McLaren's quick, but the drivers have to be perfect in it to make it, perfect. It's not this easy machine to drive. So I think we can see that it wasn't like Piastri got pole position by a 10th. He lost pole position. And that's not even a knock on Piastri. I'm just saying that car, clearly the gap isn't that huge. And so I think even as the year goes on, that gap's going to get smaller and smaller. So it's going to be very interesting. I do think, though, Norris is running out of time to correct it because he doesn't want to be playing from behind, dramatically behind. I mean, he already is. He's losing now in the championship to Oscar Piastri, but he's not going to want to be dramatically behind. But in the race, we skipped over this a little bit, but in the race, into turn one, Max Verstappen was given a 5-second time penalty for gaining an advantage. Red Bull seems very upset about that, which I think is interesting. Do I think he gained an advantage? Yes. Was 5 seconds harsh?
He would have gotten 10. If this was not the starting lap, he would have gotten 10.
My only thing is, now I don't think he should have been let off necessarily, but we do see this happen very often in Jeddah in turn 1. It's a very hard track to keep both cars on the track in the turn 1. We don't see it happen very often. So why doesn't the FIA, and I don't know if they're capable of doing it, if they're not capable of doing this, they should make themselves capable of doing this. Why can't there just be a swap positions rule? Why can't they just say, rather than a 5-second time penalty, say, we are forcing a swap? That, to me, would make a lot more logical sense rather than giving a 5-second time penalty.
Right. So I'm going to have to ramble here for a bit. I'll have to ramble here because I can feel a lot of anger coming up about also the videos I have seen of this incident, and the explanations behind the incident have triggered me to an extent where I was close to throwing my phone out the window.
Right, okay.
Like the things you see and the comparison that are made are so...
Take your time. You got the floor. You got the floor.
I got the floor. Okay. All right. Good to know. Great. So, what happened in this first corner was they were side by side, right? They were going into the corner. Piastri got the corner. He made the corner, right? Max, if you go by side measurements, sure, he was ahead at the apex, but he was ahead at a cost of not being able to make that corner. If Piastri wouldn't have been there, Max wouldn't have made the corner. He was way too quick. There was like, it's not like he could have magically turned in more and he would have made the corner. No, he was too quick. Now, he went off the road and he kept on going. Evidently, so much so, the FIA said, all right, 5 seconds, that's it. We know that this would have been a 10-second time penalty, wouldn't this have been on the first lap? Because on the first lap, they kind of let loose a bit. I mean, it's the start, it's a bit rambly, so the penalties are a bit like more of a setback.
Typically just called racing incidents.
Yeah. Fact is, Max was not going to make that corner. And I feel like this is something which summarizes Max's racing style a lot, and it's pretty much exactly what he does every single time when they race, and it's not something I'm a big fan of. Is he's going to, when you're side by side with someone, what he's going to be aiming at is getting to that apex first, and if that means we're going to be crashing after this, that's literally his focus. And in this instance, he just sold the factor of being able to make the turn by trying so hard to get to the apex first.
Right.
And you just know, if this would have been Max on the inside, it would have looked exactly the same, and it probably would have even been him pushing the other person off way more. Matter of fact, if you look back to Jeddah a few years ago, 2021, the Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen fight, there was this exact same incident with Max on the inside, just with the difference that Max didn't make the corner either because he pushed it further. So it's just, it was an FIA decision that it was a penalty, and I 100% stand by that, because Guy was not making the fucking corner. He was way too quick. There was no way the guy was making the corner. He went to the apex first to have the corner, but he was not going to make that corner. So what's the point of getting to the apex first if you can't even fucking make the corner? So when I see these videos of people comparing it to like other incidents, which are not the same thing, there was a comparison to Lando Norris and Max Verstappen in Mexico. It was a different sided corner. The guy was pushed off, and it's like, Lando didn't get a penalty for this. It's just like, I could scream, and I'm glad that the comments were full of, bro, please start watching F1. This is ridiculous. But oh my goodness, I was rage baited.
Well, was it bait or was it an actual opinion?
It was an actual opinion, but it just rage baited the fuck
I
out
don't-
of me. The opinion rage baited me.
Well, rage bait would imply that it was not something they actually believed and they were just doing it to piss people off. But
No, he did.
so it's not
it,
bait. Then it's just it just pissed you off. And that's valid.
Rage bait opinion.
No, I think you said everything that needed to be said about it. Then you probably understand. I think you did more research on it than I did. So I'll let you have the floor on that one for that topic. But yeah,
Wait, one more thing. Did you see Lawson's penalty in turn 1?
yeah, that was a bit strange. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. That one I will admit.
I mean,
I've been saying a lot about how Lawson needs to figure it out, but that was not his fault. And he would have had.
That was
I mean, he still
ridiculous.
had a decent race weekend overall. Whatever.
10 seconds.
But 10 seconds was a bit insane. I mean, it didn't really affect him much. Obviously, he wasn't going to score points anyways. But
Yeah, but
it was harsh.
Jesus.
It was harsh. I mean, he only dropped a place, I believe, to Alonso. But that was weird. And I don't know what that was about. I'm not going to spend too much time debating it because I don't think it really affected much in the grand scheme of things. But was
for sure.
weird for sure. Definitely weird. I did want to mention Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly's the Pookies. They're the best friends crashed into each other on the first lap. But that was really just a racing incident. It wasn't it wasn't really I mean, I think Pierre maybe came a bit hard, but at this, it's just that's just shit that happens on lap 1. It was a weird place to go for a move, but again, that's just lap 1 mentality, trying to gain as much as you can. So it's kind of I would say typically maybe don't overtake through a high speed section like that, but I mean, it's lap 1. So
What do I know?
What do I know? I just talk about it. But that was unfortunate to see because I did think that the Red Bull had decent pace that weekend and Yuki could have pulled out a decent position. And on top of that, Yuki had a mistake in Q3. So it wasn't even his full pace really on his final lap. He could have qualified better too. He was very quick in qualifying.
True.
And was matching Max in a lot of sessions. So I think this could have been a good weekend for Yuki to score some points again. And then he had the incident in Q3. It wasn't an incident, but he just had a mistake on the final lap, which kind of messed up his time and made it a lot lower than it should have been. And then Gasly and his incident just kind of sucked for both of them because they both were in good positions for this weekend. I mean, the Alpine looked quick. Tsunoda looked quick. So I wouldn't say the Alpine looked quick, but it looked quick for their standard. So quicker than they expected to be, especially given that they have the Renault engine. And it was interesting to see how they were surprisingly quick in Jeddah in practice. So it's unfortunate to see how that ended for Gasly and Tsunoda. But I just wanted to note that was the big incident on the track, which led to a lap 1 safety car. And then Hamilton.
Should we talk about Hamilton first, or should we talk about the Gabby incident?
Ooh, actually, I do kind of want to talk about the Gabby incident. Yeah.
The Gabby incident was an interesting incident. That was
Dude, I was whoa, dude, you almost just fucking ran him right into the wall. I mean,
it's funny because it was Alonso, right?
Yeah.
It was his manager. So, oof. But it was such a weird incident.
It was.
It was.
I don't think he saw he was. Well, Alonso was not there in that battle, and then gained a bunch of tenths from their fighting and the slipstream he got, the mega slipstream on that main straight, and just appeared out of nowhere on his side. But it was very much an abundant that's a rookie mistake. It was so clear that dude, whoa, look in your mirrors. That was crazy. I mean, I was whoa. That could have been way worse, but okay, we're back. Technical difficulties once again. Production team needs to get their shit together. True. Anyways, we were talking about the Gabby incident and the Alonso incident, and yeah, it was just a funny incident because it was so absurd and almost so bad.
Yeah.
But it was just barely saved at the end, really by Alonso realizing he had to back out before he got slammed into the wall. That now we can just kind of sit back and laugh about it. But Jesus, that
was way too close to come.
Close.
Way too close to come.
I went. I literally audibly gasped when I was watching the race. I was like, "Oh my god!" Dude, Gabby, whoa.
So close. It was insane. It was actually ridiculously close.
Yeah. It's the stuff that happens when you got 6 rookies in the grid.
I know, right? We'll go
Or
to
5.
prediction stuff later on, because turns out the rookies
I
did
don't
actually
want
do
to.
pretty well. You did pretty bad, my friend.
Yeah.
You did terrible.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Anyways,
Hamilton.
I don't want to talk about
Hamilton.
that part. Actually, can we just not talk about predictions today? No. Lewis Hamilton just struggling again, and I know he's new to the car, and I know we'll keep talking about this all year probably, but it's Lewis Hamilton.
Right. So you'd think he'd
You know what I mean? It's arguably the greatest driver of all time, 1A, 1B with Michael Schumacher.
Yeah.
So
You'd think it can't be that bad, right?
You know. And on top of that, we've just seen similar struggles in the Mercedes before.
Yeah.
So it's like, is he just washed?
Washed?
Because I feel like I'm hearing the same complaints in the Ferrari that I was hearing him make in the Mercedes.
It's just...
And obviously the Mercedes looks better. George Russell's doing better than he was before, but Russell was beating Lewis in a lot of races last year.
This is a controversial opinion, mate. This is like we're going down a difficult road here, because we know that Mercedes was insane, and we don't want to like dishonor anything that Hamilton achieved.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying he was not great at one point,
Okay.
but it's just
All right.
part of me worries that he's dug himself into this hole mentally. He loses the 8th championship opportunity in Abu Dhabi for controversial reasons. And then Mercedes kind of struggles in the new regulations, and he goes from being the most dominant driver of a generation to instantly struggling to score points on certain weekends in Mercedes. Didn't win a race for a couple years. So then he does have a better year in the Mercedes last year as they got a little better. But now he's in the Ferrari, and it seems like he's taken a step back again. And I know that car's new to him. I know it's going to be hard to learn, but it's also, again, like I said, this is Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
So I just expect somebody of his caliber to be able to kind of put it together a little quicker. I'm not saying he had to come out race 1. He did have the sprint win, but sprint races really don't mean anything to me. I'm gonna be honest. I really do not value what happens in a sprint race. I'd rather us just not even have sprint races.
True.
But that's a different conversation. But no, I don't know. It feels it's disappointing. I'm not saying that I didn't think he was going to come in and kill it.
Yeah,
I kind
no.
of saw this maybe coming, but I'm a little shocked at how much he struggled.
I think he would have been closer with Leclerc, but at the same time, I was also just not aware that I guess Leclerc's driving style is as unique as it is, because he's openly talked about this, that he's just not able to work with the car the way Leclerc likes it. I mean, the Ferrari garage is split into 2 pretty much. They're going into completely different directions because Hamilton likes the car differently. And I mean, Leclerc's performing. But if you would have asked me last year, I would have said Hamilton's not going to be winning instantly. And he might not even for the next year. Depends on how many years he's there. But he would be somewhat closer to Leclerc than he actually is now. 100%. No question. Because it's Hamilton, right? Like, come on.
Yeah. But again, it's weird because I think Leclerc is great, but Sainz was keeping up with Leclerc.
Yeah. And is Sainz better than Hamilton?
No, obviously not.
Exactly.
Don't put that question. Don't even say those words. That's going to get taken out of context. Don't even say that.
I do the shorts. Why would I put myself out of context?
I know. That's a good point. But I don't know. It's like, yeah, I want to see Hamilton succeed almost at this point. I just kind of feel bad. I just kind of feel bad for him at this point. It's just it's depressing. It's like
that. It's like that neighbor's puppy. That neighbor's old dog.
No. That's Jack Doohan. We can't keep connecting this to everybody. No, I can't remember who I said that about. I really cannot remember.
We've now said this about at least 5 people. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So fitting.
Yeah, that was Yeah. Maybe it was Bottas that I said it about.
Was it Perez?
Maybe.
I think it was
maybe.
Perez,
Oh,
actually.
maybe. It might have been Perez, which is actually pretty funny if it was. Damn, I'm good. Nah. So people who don't like regularly listen to the show are going to be very confused what we're referring to, but it makes sense. Trust me.
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted to kind of note again, Hamilton seems to be struggling and Ferrari does not. I mean, they got their podium, but this is the first podium of the year outside of the sprint race.
True.
Mercedes looks better. Can Ferrari finish above P4 in the constructors?
Yeah.
Probably, because Red Bull
I was
probably
about to
won't
say,
do that.
Red Bull
but they'll be fighting with Red Bull, I think, for P3, P4.
For sure.
I think Mercedes will be a clear P2 at this rate.
I just like it feels so weird because Russell is delivering and so is Antonelli, but it's like I never really noticed Russell delivering. It's like he sometimes squeezes in those sneaky P4 performances where it's like you don't really realize, but the guy actually scored a ton of points for the team. So now it's like you look at the constructors and you're like, whoa, why is Mercedes on P2? What's happening here?
Well, he's been on it this year too.
Antonelli as well.
Something about being the number one has made Russell's confidence boost a little bit. But Antonelli's been great. I mean, Antonelli has 38 points in his first 5 races in his career.
It's insane.
I mean, that is
insane.
Insane. He's gonna go down as one of the greater rookies at this rate. I mean, there's some people you can't compete with that are just kind of in a league of their own in that conversation. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be the greatest. I mean, Lewis Hamilton will probably forever, as time will tell, be the greatest rookie to ever step into a Formula One car. I mean, the greatest rookie year ever. Yeah. And so I don't think that title will ever go away, but I think Antonelli's definitely got a good argument for being one of the better ones. I mean, we talked about it with Piastri too. But Piastri also got into a McLaren that halfway through his rookie season was competing for podiums.
True.
So, even if Antonelli doesn't get podiums, that car is not quite as good as the McLaren ended up getting Oscar's rookie year. And Antonelli, to me, is just dragged a Mercedes, which I don't think is, it's not that quick. I mean, it's quick, but it might be the second quickest car, maybe, but it's not. That's a fine margin. That's a big, that's close.
Fair.
And you got
that's
Verstappen
fair.
up there. So I don't know. I'm very impressed with Antonelli. He hasn't made many mistakes, really. He's been on it. And just, again, race after race, I'm constantly impressed with him. And I'm a big Antonelli fan. Like, I want him to succeed because I think he's just I love pure raw talent like that. I think it's a cool story for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Williams have been performing all right.
I love that,
Sainz
though.
finally scores some decent points
Yeah.
that weren't given to him by a incident by the disqualification. So he scores some real points. He crosses the line in the points this weekend, which was good to see. Albon obviously has been the better driver. Albon seems a bit more pissy this year. I don't know what that's about.
I'm so
he seems
confused.
very angry with Williams,
so angry.
which is so weird because they're currently sitting at P5 in the Constructors' Championship, mostly to his doing. If you take away Albon's points, they would be I mean, let me do the math on that. They would be in last place if you take away Albon's points. But if you take away Carlos Sainz's points, they would still be in P5.
He's cooking.
They'd be tied for P5.
He's cooking.
So,
yeah.
He's been. So I don't know why I don't know what he's so upset about.
No clue. And it's so random. It's just every single time you see Albon's thing coming up, it's like the radio, and then it's like Albon speaking. I'm like, oh god, oh no,
oh god. Like, what is he?
Oh,
what is he
no.
gonna say this time?
And he could have been alone for the whole race, but he just comes on and he's gonna be like, why are you guys not doing this? Why is this not working? Why are you? What is it? What a stupid question are you asking me? And it's like he comes out of that car and he goes into the media pen and he's the sweetest and nicest guy you've ever met.
I know, it's Alex Albon. I can't even.
He's incredible.
Where is this coming from?
Where's all this anger coming from? I feel like
he's the guy who has 12 cats, a horse, and 2 dogs.
Exactly.
He's this cute little he's just always been this very wholesome guy.
And then in the car,
and
I feel like
all of a sudden he's all.
I feel like Alex Albon is the perfect example of someone who is extremely calm as a person, and it's just they're a chill person, but the second they step foot into a car, oof, better have the seatbelt on.
Oh, I know some people.
Yeah,
like
exactly,
that. I know some
exactly.
people
And I
like
think
that.
that's
And
exactly what
he's
Albon
definitely one
is,
of them.
for sure.
He's definitely one of them for sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's been weird. It just because they're doing so well. I'm so happy for Williams, but for some reason they're just so upset. And maybe it's just because he wants more out of that, car.
I guess.
He wants more for Williams, maybe, but I feel like they're on a good trajectory
Yeah,
right
exactly.
now.
It's just unnecessary.
James Vowles has done an exceptional job bringing Williams back to a respectable team. I mean, that guy deserves his flowers. I haven't said that in a while. He deserves his flowers. He. I mean, when he had gotten to Williams, they were literally at the back of the pack.
Yeah.
They were with Haas just constantly at the bottom of the grid. So, very, very good progress from them to be sitting in P5 right now. Even if last year they were only P9,
Yeah.
they're definitely on a good trajectory.
You haven't given
any
out
other
flowers
notable
in a
moments?
while, mate. Like, that is like,
I
I don't know where
know.
that has come from, but that was like at least 4, 5, 6 months ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
I had to give out some. It takes me a lot. My flowers are cherished.
I gotta give
drivers often watch
so many flowers.
Watch the podcast, and they go, "Oh man, I really hope Caden gives me flowers today." That's what they say. Let me see. We covered.
I was about to say, I think it's now
yeah.
our favorite time of the podcast. And I'll take it from here, mate. Don't you worry.
Thank you guys for listening.
No. We're not done here, mate. We're not done here. So we had incredible predictions last episode, and as we do every single recap episode, we go back and look at those predictions. Now I'm gonna take the stage away from you for a second, and I'm gonna go through my predictions. It's not like I did great. I really didn't at all. Like, my first prediction was that both Williams will score points. Got that one. Thank you very much. Next one was Hamilton other points. Didn't happen. Not even close. And the last one was 2 rookies will not finish the race. Matter of fact, all rookies finished the race. So I didn't even do great. I have 1 out of 3. But that guy over there, you're going to be over here, right? Like this guy over here.
I'm trying to think about if that's the right way you're pointing, but
It's that way.
We'll see.
It's that way. That guy over there, that guy, he should, I don't know, start watching actual F1, not Drive to Survive.
Yeah, I need to stop watching Drive to Survive. I've been watching too much Drive to Survive. No, so I thought that Lando was going to lock in this weekend. And we made our predictions before qualifying. I want to make that abundantly clear. I thought because of the pressure, we'd see one of those performances that makes you go, maybe he does have what it takes. Instead, we went quite the opposite way, actually.
Yep.
I thought it was going to be a recovery weekend from Norris, one of those drives, one of those old-fashioned Lando Norris drives. But instead, he qualified P10 due to a shunt in qualifying, and then did not win the race. My first prediction, for clarification, was that he was going to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and he got P4. So that did not happen. My second race prediction was that both Red Bulls would finish in the top 8. Would this have happened if Yuki Tsunoda did not crash on lap 1 with Pierre Gasly?
No.
Maybe.
No?
You don't think it would have happened if Yuki Tsunoda finished the race?
I even know where he qualified. I'm just taking the race with you.
He qualified P8, actually. Yeah. He was P8 in qualifying. So.
Yeah, but Norris was coming through.
Yeah, but
either way, didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Keep on going, mate. You're doing great.
It didn't happen, and Yuki Tsunoda, unfortunately, did not finish in the top 8, which means that both Red Bulls did not finish in the top 8, which means that I was incorrect. My final race prediction. Now, this was a bit of a shot, but we saw some promising practice sessions from Nico Hülkenberg. His pace looked all right, so I was thinking, if there's any weekend that I'm going to predict something good happening to Kick Sauber, it's going to be this weekend. Maybe Nico Hülkenberg will bring a point in. I really thought there'd be more safety cars, more crashing drama. I mean, there only was on lap 1, but that doesn't really count. That's different. So I thought there'd be like some shakeup, a lot of DNFs. Some things would work out in his favor, and he'd get into P10. But he did not score any points, and so as a result, I got all 3 wrong. And this has been a rough year for me on the prediction front. I mean, last weekend I did pretty well. I got 2 out of 3, I think, last weekend.
Yeah, no, you did. You're kind of imitating me from last year. Not gonna lie.
I'm just like
I need to get your
just
game
on
up.
this streak. It's like what's funny is all my predictions will be like some bullshit. Like it'll be like I predicted Yuki Tsunoda and Verstappen both finishing in the top 8. Yuki Tsunoda crashes in turn on the first fucking lap. That, and then I predict Lando Norris is gonna win. He crashes in qualifying. Like it's not just like, oh yeah, clearly he didn't have the pace. It's like some I predicted the Ferraris were gonna outscore the Mercedes in China, and then they got fucking disqualified. So like this just keeps happening to me. A bunch of weird blasphemy keeps occurring on my prediction front, and I think we need to do an investigation into who's listening to the podcast and telling me to get it wrong, and like telling these teams to make sure they get,
Yeah.
I think you're hiring somebody, you're paying somebody off.
100%.
I don't know. I'm not.
100%.
I know what you are. I know what you are. A cheater. A cheater. Yeah. I'm taking this to court, buddy.
Sure.
Defamation.
Sure.
No. Yeah. It was a decent race though. Decent race.
Sure.
I'm looking. I wouldn't say I'm sorry if my mic is picking up that noise. Somebody's doing their washing above my head right now, so I really hope my mic's not picking that up. Apartment living, everybody. But on that note, we'll be back from Miami. I don't know if I'm excited for Miami or not, because typically it's a boring race, but I'm excited to just watch F1 in general. So thank you all for listening to this episode of the Pitlane Pals Formula One podcast. If you did enjoy, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, all the places. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Goodbye.